What's up, fellas? So this is going to be a very, not the typical video you see from me. This is kind of just a very casual, something right out of the camera. I may not even edit it. No, who am I kidding? I am going to edit it. I can't deliver a non-clean, sloppy job. It's got to be a clean job. It can't be sloppy. But all the frills. It won't have all the frills, though. The B-roll, the close-ups, and all that stuff. But I digress. Kind of got this video came about from... and shout out to Isaac Knife and Knowledge. I'll leave a link to his channel in the shout out section down in the description page. He had brought out a knife that he had just acquired from Cold Steel. And I've had this knife for quite a while. And that is the Recon 1 from Cold Steel. And I've had this for about 4 years. So it's the Tanto version. He had the clip version. You can see there's a little bit wear on it. I mean, this knife has been used, not abused, not crazy used, but it's been used. You know, it's been used. It's been, as far as I can recall, I have not treated the edge at all. The edge is pretty much original. It's an S35VN steel. It's a compound grind, which means it has like a secondary bevel, which means it has great piercing ability, has less prone to chipping because it has that compound grind type of finish on this. I believe that's how they're doing it now, and I think this is how it was done before. It's got that black coated finish, which still hasn't peeled off. I know people have been using these like crazy, and they do peel off, but mine hasn't. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really been aggressive with it or something or anything like that, but it has been used and it hasn't been sharpened or maintained. I may have stropped it here and there, but it's the same. But getting back to Isaac, he just picked this up. He had it for about 3 months or so. I think he has a clip point version, if I'm not mistaken. And he loves it. He loves it. He says he's been carrying it every day. He loves the knife. And he has one that post-sale of Cold Steel. This is probably pre-sale when it was still Lynn's Cold Steel. I know a lot of people talking about basically Cold Steel sold and they're not making the same products anymore. I think, and also people complain about their customer service. And, you should put it, stick it to them if their customer service is not good and they're not, keeping up with their product and keeping up with making customers happy and satisfied and all that. That's definitely should be done. I know Donnie has done that. Donnie has a feud with them as far as the knife that he picked up. But I think there's just some Cold Steel knives are a little bit gimmicky. And there's certain knives that are just bedrock, standard and just solid. Recon 1 is definitely one of those solid brands from Cold Steel. Formax, the Formax line. The AD10, is, if you can find one. I know they have an AD10 in titanium now. The AD models, all the Andrew Demkos. I mean, those are pretty solid. And the question is, are they still producing them good? Well, Isaac loves his. I love this Recon 1. This is probably one of my favorite folders of all time for many reasons. And he still loves his. His lockup is great. He says everything is good. He's sharp. He's used it so much that he actually had to sharpen it. I haven't had to yet. It's still a pretty nice sharp edge. So I don't know, man. It's just everybody has their own opinion as far as if Cold Steel is still what Cold Steel used to be, still sharp, still cutting, and it's amazing because I haven't treated this edge at all. I haven't done anything. And I think maybe I just probably just stropped it here and there and stuff like that. But it's been holding true. And this is the first time I'm cutting this type of material with this knife because I didn't use these ratchet straps. And it's still holding its own. 4 years of edge being used, and it's still holding its own. Obviously, if you hold this up a little bit, it's going to be a lot better. But that S35, listen, it's a good steel. It's not one of the crazy super steels of today, but S35 is another tried and true classic, and it's got a great edge retention. It's a great steel, but it'll hold its own. It'll hold its edge, and this has held its edge really, really well, and I've been pretty impressed with it. But besides the edge holding and all that, which I'm actually pretty impressed that it's actually still cutting. I'm actually doing this off camera like an idiot. This is a fire hose. Yeah, it's still holding its own. But the thing is this, guys. whatever your opinion of cold steel, I think you just got to be a little smart as far as knowing what to buy, knowing what's gimmicky. There's certain knives that I knew when they released them were gimmicky. I said, these things are not going to last. And they did. They discontinued them. You know, and certain knives that are just solid. And you know they're always going to be solid as long as they're basically producing them in the same OEMs or, you know, OEMs that are doing, you know, following the spec and producing them the right way. You know, like this Recon 1, that's, you know, like I said, Isaac had just bought and he loves the knife and I love this knife. So I'm assuming they're still producing the Recon 1s the way they did years ago when, you know, Lynn owned Cold Steel. I guess certain knives basically just are going to work. You're safe with them. You just got to be, I'm trying to get into working with my left hand. And now I'm thinking about Donnie and I'm thinking about basically how he had to change over to his right hand because he's a lefty. So I'm just kind of trying to do things with my left hand. It is awkward. It's very awkward to do, but it will work. I mean, as long as you got a knife that works, that cuts, you got a point, you got an edge, I think it definitely does work. But this thing really does well. But besides the point, the handle, the triad locking system, I mean, greatest locking system on the planet. I mean, this thing has never, ever, ever failed on me, and I've done pretty rough things with it, with even the initial review. No movement, and the handle, this is about a 4-inch blade, Tanto style tip. I think this American Tanto was invented by Cold Steel, and the handle is even larger. The handle is probably like 4.5 or something. Look at the extra real estate, extra space over the extra purchase. This thing really just melts into your hand. Very, very comfortable, very solid. Not as solid as the 4 Maxes or the AD10. Or the AD10s. This has a different type of feel to it. This is more tactical. You know, the blacked out finish, the light G10. It's a different type of tactical type of knife, okay? Could be a fighting knife, could be a lot of things. But, yeah, I mean, it's easy to open and close even with one hand. It's still great. I mean, it needs a little love. Maybe it needs a little greasing up a little bit like that. But like I said, this is, you know, 4 years old. And it's an old friend. It's an old, reliable friend. I named this the Dark Knight, because it's just all blacked out. I think I always said that if Batman was going to carry a knife, it would definitely be the Recon 1 all blacked out like this with that Tanto tip. Are they still making great knives? Isaac had showed me that basically his Recon 1, he loves it. It's still a great knife. And I trust Isaac. Isaac knows what he's talking about when it comes to knives. He knows a good knife. And I trust him when he says he likes his Recon 1. And I love my Recon 1. I definitely recommend the AD10 in S35EN steel. Awesome. Even a better, more comfortable handle than this. It's just more girth in the handle. But yeah, you know, it's pretty good. Let's do more cutting with it. You know, I never cut sandblade toes with this knife because I wasn't using these materials. Thanks to Scab, wasn't using these materials when I did reviews on these. So this is the first time I'm cutting a sandblade toes, which is a steel reinforced. And yeah, I mean, the geometric of the cutting angle of this knife, even an old edge, an edge that's been used for 4 freaking years and it's never been sharpened. It's only been stropped. Look at that. I mean, that just shows you that you don't even need to be razor sharp, but when you have a good cutting geometric, it just works, man. I mean, this is great. I mean, I have brand new knives that don't go through this material like this just went through this material. It's pretty impressive on an old knife. You know, also the steel reinforced, which, you know, makes it harder. You know, it's a cut through. You know, this is stubborn material. It may look easy, but I mean, I got to tell you, this knife is making it look easy because I've had brand new knives that had struggle freaking getting through this stuff. And this thing on a 4-year-old edge is doing good. So, I mean, the cutting, I've always enjoyed the cutting geometric of this knife. It's always been a great slicing and tough behind the edge type of knife. And the locking mechanism with the triad just adds to the quality of this freaking piece. I think it's about $125 right now in Blade HQ. I mean, I think it's a great price for a knife like this. I mean, listen, this is like one of those knives that acts like a fixed blade. The lockup is so good that you can take this in your knife, and you could put this in your pocket when you go camping, and you could basically kindle wood and do a lot of stuff with it. I mean, look at that. Look at how this thing is cutting. Look at how its feather's sticking. I mean, listen, this is handling itself better than some freaking fixed blades I've tried. So it's just really, really impressing me. Really impressing me. But yeah, like I said, you could take this in your pocket and consider it like a folding fixed blade, like a foldable fixed blade that you can just tuck away into your pocket and you can use it as a fixed blade. That's how good and strong the triad locking system is, that you can literally use it for outdoor materials, outdoor stuff. And I know people that have done it. People that have been taking this particular knife camping with them, and it's never failed them. You know, they've dropped this like 6 feet, 8 feet down on concrete. This thing doesn't break. It's a strong ass knife, strong ass blade, great edge retention, and a great, besides the S35, besides the fact that its edge retention is good, the cutting geometric, the compound grind on this makes it for a really good slicing and cutting knife. And you can see basically it's not the sharpest knife I have right now. It's an old edge, but look at basically how it's cutting. Sometimes the cutting geometric is even more important than the initial sharpness. You know, if it's got a good cutting geometric that just cuts and works, it just works. It's basically it. It just works. And having this tanto tip, it's a nice piercer. You can basically cut with this end here also for food processing. This is great to basically food process. So yeah, I think this will be a great outdoor knife that won't fail you, and it will be like a in-the-pocket fixed blade that's foldable. I had to do some batoning with this thing. I just wanted to show you, and I'm even curious for myself, basically a triad locking system that's 4 years old, with all the use it's got out of it, if you could still abuse it by batoning with it, and if the lock is going to hold up. I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, but I'll show it to you anyway, because it's fun. Should you ever baton with a folder? No. But you know what? This is a cold steel. This is a triad locking system, and this is just a different freaking animal. You know, I'm not saying you have to basically chop down a tree with it, but light batoning as basically a companion camp knife, I mean, this thing is going to work, and you don't have to worry about it failing on you, because it just won't. It won't fail. You really got to do crazy shit with this thing to make this thing fail. So just adding to that camp knife type of ability, this thing definitely will handle itself out there in the woods with you, and will act like a pocket fixed blade. Still going strong, and the triad is still solid as a rock. Triad locking system, man. Cold steel, nothing better. And it'll act like a fixed blade. It'll be as strong as a fixed blade. But impressed me how it cut the sandblast hose. It's still cutting all these other materials. It's kindling wood, basically like a big boy, like a fixed blade, without me feeling like the locking mechanism is ever going to fail me. You know, it's going really well. But yeah, really, 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 really great knife. Definitely something to consider. Consider basically some of the classics, guys. These cold steel classics like this Recon one. As long as they're still producing them the same way, the schematic on them is excellent. And it looks like they're still producing them the same way, because Isaac is pretty happy with them. Like he said, it's still a great knife for me, and it's still one of the greatest knives in my collection, and it's still one of my favorite cold steel knives, period. And it's still going strong. I'm gonna probably give this thing a little love, maybe give it a nice polish over, tighten things up, grease up, lube it up, and the movement and all that stuff. Maybe take it apart, clean it up, but it's just about that time. But yeah, this thing is still a great, great knife. Definitely consider it. And don't be afraid of cold steel, but just be selective as far as what knives you're going to basically invest in. This is definitely a tried and true one that seems like it's still being produced well. So that's all I got, guys. Just wanted to bring you one of my old friends. This is a Recon 1, all blacked out from Cold Steel. And yeah, newsflash, they are still producing some good knives. Thanks, Isaac. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ciao.